Alright, this is the motion tracking tutorial. I'm going to teach you how to pick points in a video and then track those positions. That way you can put things over the top of them if you want. For example, and this is a little bit embarrassing for me, but this is an example of using motion tracking. But you'll notice that, and this is a good shot of it, the pole has pink points on it, and those points right here, and there's another one down here, they're being used to track, and I'm going to go through how to do that right now. Alright, let's get started. So you can see I've dragged in these clips here, which are found in Resources for Tutorials Motion Tracking. Most of them are sound effects, except for this Jedi LOL clip, which is the sad one. Double click it so we can get it in our little footage viewer, and we want to try and trim out the areas we don't want. So let's just go back here. It might lag a little bit because it's on a high frame rate, but you know, just deal with it. Alright, we're going to start it here, that'll do. Set the in point there. It's about 0.86 set in point, and we're going to move this thing out to, yeah, right there while I'm pulling that stupid face. Yeah, that'll do about there, that's fine. And set the out point, so at about 696 or 7 seconds, that's fine. And now that we've got that, drag it into your timeline, and you should have this highly incriminating footage of myself. Now you'll see, if we zoom in a little bit, these pink motion tracking points, that's where we want to try and track the motion. And to do that, you want to use your motion tracking stuff down here. Now if you don't have that, go to animation and pick track motion, and it should pop up just down here. With the layer selected, hit track motion, and you'll get this little track point. Alright, what we're going to do is track the first thing. So I'm just going to make this a bit bigger. I'm going to move, generally try and click in between these two boxes to grab the whole thing, and you'll see this uber zoomed in point, and you want to pick the pink one. You can increase the size of the track point area and all that, but generally speaking it's pretty good like this, so just leave it. And from here we use these controls down here. Now if you want to trust it, you can try and press analyze forward, and it will track that thing as much as it moves. You can see it going, and we're losing a bit of vision there, so I'm going to move the screen down. You can always start and stop it, and it's doing a pretty good job of tracking. There's a few jumps here and there, but in general it's not too bad. Let's move this up again, hit play, analyze forward that is, and you can see it's sort of slipping a little bit, but oh, that's gone pretty nasty. So if that's happened, press Ctrl Z, and you might have to skip frame by frame like so. And if you can see how this would get a bit time consuming. If you're not happy with it, then just move using the selection tool and click in between the two lines, move it to the middle point again, and hopefully it'll track good again for a little bit. Yeah, it's not too bad. Okay, so it's a tiny bit tedious. You get the picture. Every now and then you might have to stop. If it goes off course, press undo, analyze forward a few frames, move the motion point, the track point, so that it fits the middle of the frame again. And yeah, I'm going to fast forward this little next bit because I'm just going to keep doing the same thing until I get to the end of my clip.
So not yesterday. Fast forward. It's the only way to play. Fast forward. Yes, we're here to stay. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Fast forward. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And that's done for the first track point. Now that that's done, what you're going to do is right click in your timeline, say new, and pick null object. This is what we're going to do. It's an invisible object that is going to become attached to all our track points. So we're going to call this one bottom because it's the bottom track point. And now when we go over here to edit target, we're going to pick bottom, which is already selected, and then we hit apply and X and Y, press OK. And now we have all that tracking data attached to that bottom object there. Obviously we need to repeat this process, so move this back to the beginning. And we're going to do this again for the top point. Now, I warn you, the top point is going to be a little bit more annoying than the bottom point because there's a lot more motion going on. So once again, we hit on our Jedi Lol clip, go to trackMotion, and move our track point up. And I'm going to go on that pink spot again. And now this one's going to be a little bit more time consuming. I'm probably going to have to do a lot more frame by frame analyzing and undoing, but we'll give it a shot. It's always best, I find, to do a little bit of almost like burst fire on the old analyze forward. Click for a little bit, let go, click for a bit, let go. Oh, not too bad that time. It'll follow the track point much better that way if you can constantly click and re-click. So I'm going to fast forward again.
Get out of my way! Fast forward! It's so not yesterday. Fast forward! It's the only way to play. Fast forward! Yes, we're here to stay.
Alright, as you can see, that one was pretty time consuming. Once again, right click, new, null object. I'm going to call this one top. And then we're going to go down here to edit target. Make sure that's set on top. Press OK. And hit apply, X and Y. And now the painstaking part of this task is done. So we've got all our track points following. Now we just got to add our effects in. And that's what we're going to do next. Right. You can see up here in composition, our tracking layer has been applied to our null objects in our composition. Now it's time to add in our lightsaber effect. So this is the easy part. So layer, new, solid. Doesn't matter what color it's going to be, but call it beam because it's going to be our lightsaber beam. If we go over here, effects and presets, type in beam, this one here, drag it in. You know, we've got a kind of rip-off lightsaber looking beam here. But now we want to make this follow our track points. And to do that, thankfully we have an expression which is sort of like a code, which is going to help us do this a lot easier than all that tracking again. So what we're going to do is we're going to tick the stopwatch once our current time indicator is at the start again. So I'm going to go right to the beginning. Cool. Now we're going to tick starting and ending points for the stopwatches. And we're going to go down here and click on top and bottom. And you're going to press P on your keyboard, which is going to bring up the position keyframes. Okay, and now what we want to do is attach our beam to those positions. So what we're going to do, click back on beam here and press U. That will show us the keyframed things that we checked up here, the keyframed stopwatches, starting and ending point. Now I'm going to teach you a little trick. It's called the pick whip tool. So click on starting point. We want this starting point to be connected to the top, which is this one here. Now we're going to alt click on the stopwatch itself. So hold down alt and then click, and you'll notice you get these little options here in this red text. Click on this one here, which is the pick whip, which allows us to choose what we want it to connect to. And I'm going to choose the top layer, not this position, the top layer here. And you'll get this little text here. And what we're going to write next is dot to comp, open bracket, square bracket, 0 comma 0 comma 0, square bracket closed, and normal bracket. So what we've just said is we want all the rotation to be attached to those null objects. So if the beam, if the object rotates, then the beam will rotate. So it's going to follow that top point till the cows come home. So once that's done, just click away. I usually click down here. And that's done. And we're going to do the same thing for our ending point. So we're going to click on Alt, click on the stopwatch, and we are going to use the pick whip again for this one, and we're going to pick bottom. And once again, we're going to write the same code to comp, open bracket, square bracket, 0 comma 0 comma 0, square bracket, close round bracket, and click down here again. And you can see that the beam is now tracking those, but it's not quite big enough. So we're we're going to go over to the length, and we're going to change it from 25% to 100%. So now our beam's taking up a bit more room, but it's still too small. So starting thickness, about 50, I reckon. Type that in. It's a pretty big beam actually. And I'll make that 52. So now it's got a pretty nice glow happening there. And who wants a pink lightsaber, right? I'm going to change that to white. And I'll stick with red this time. Last time it was blue, but you know, we're going to be Sith this time. Hit the RAM preview option and have a look. As you can see, the beam is following our track points. Now, obviously, the lightsaber effect is not so good without sound, which is what we're going to do now. So we're going to go back here to project, and we're going to put in our sounds. So I'm going to just make this stuff a bit smaller, and I'm going to pull out this saber hum for 13 seconds. I'm going to drag that in, and I'm going to turn off the sound on my Jedi LOL clip because you don't want to hear little kids talking. Uncheck that. This is pretty loud actually, so you might want to play with the audio volume there. I usually drop that down to about -10 decibels, but it's up to you what you want to do with that. And now if we hit preview, and we'll just have a listen to that. So we've got our lightsaber hum happening there. That's pretty much that. If you want to add these saber move options in, let's just drag those in. So whenever there's a lightsaber moving, you can use these move options. So starting probably a little bit more forward there as the lightsaber swings up like a baseball bat. Now let's have a listen to that. So pretty much that's what you need to do. Add those saber move options in whenever you see the lightsaber moving. Lightsaber looks good, but the glow is pretty constant. Okay, and lightsabers generally sort of hum and buzz and flicker a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a bit of randomness to that glowing effect. So go back to effect controls, click on the beam, and what we're going to do is we're going to change the thickness randomly. So we're going to go pull this back to the start. And then once it's at the beginning, we're going to hit the stopwatch for thickness and ending thickness, starting and ending thickness. And then we're going to go down here and look at our thickness options down here. You press U if you want to just bring up the things with keyframes. And so we see we've set them on 50 from before. What we want to do is make random changes between 50 and 60. And to do that, we use an expression once again. So Alt click on this stopwatch. And instead of this effect beam, we're just going to write random, open bracket. And we know 50 is our first value, and then comma 60. So what it's going to do is randomly use numbers between 50 and 60. So it's going to increase our starting thickness from 50 to 60 randomly. Okay, we want that exact same code, so we're going to highlight that and copy it, Control C, and click anywhere again. Go to ending thickness with your Alt click on your mouse, and we're going to paste that, Control V, and that is going to give us random glowing changes. So let's preview that now, and you can have a look there. The lightsaber is sort of flashing a little bit, so it gives it a bit more of a realistic look, if a lightsaber could be realistic. That's all I'm going to go through in this tutorial because it's pretty intense. The next tutorial is going to teach you how to render your video, your composition, because at the moment this is just sitting in After Effects. I'm going to teach you how to export it in the right settings. So if you want to learn how to do that, watch the next one.